Probably on Twitter.
I didn't hear the announcement.
Maybe I think he's just saying we don't. You gonna play the announcement? Oh. What's happening?
It'll be Ryan BoomBapTricks.
Are we doing this? Are we on? Are we on? We good? Say again?
WeAreDenver.
Oh,
This is BoomBapTricks.
I guess it's them that have to do it.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to All Real Radio. This is BoomBapTricks. We are Denver. Hashtag We Are Denver. We're at Ghost House Studios today, holding it down. I'm feeling good. You know, I got a lot of energy today.
You're the only one.
You know, everybody else tired. I'm gonna turn up all the way up. So, you know, this weekend, what did I do? This weekend I went to The Solution, kicked it with my man DJ Low Key, DJ Lazy Eyes. I did some other things this weekend. I can't really remember. My weekends are getting phased, you know, getting fuzzy. We had Bar Red, the cancer party. And did we even get to talk about the cancer party last time?
It'll be on All Real Radio tonight.
Okay, there we go. I guess we did talk about it.
Yeah, with JJ and all
Oh,
the women.
yeah.
So last weekend we had the cancer.
You know. I was out here tricking off, man.
Oh, he in them streets.
I was in these streets, man.
WeAreDenver looked hot. Los Mochetes performed on Saturday on 16th Street Mall. Right on for WeAreDenver.
Yeah. Yes. They had the performances going on this Saturday.
Bianca McCon.
B. McCon. Los Mocochetes.
Yep.
All the good people, all the dope artists. So they're doing those events every Saturday.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be on the one with Danette this weekend.
Are you on this one this weekend?
I'm just I'm doing a little something with Danette. I'm gonna open it up for her.
Oh, okay.
So Danette's gonna be singing on 16th Street Mall. That's gonna be cool.
Danette Howell.
Danette
Hollowell.
Nice.
A dope
She's
jazz singer. Yeah, super dope. Come out, check it out. Most definitely.
Nice.
And then if you want to check out and see who else is on there, on the lineup, it's www.wearedenver.org, and the list will be on there.
Nice. So, what's up with you, LaRae? We heard that Anthony was out in them streets, or out in them sheets.
No, I didn't make it to the sheets. I was trying hard, goddammit, didn't make it to the shit.
This weekend was a good weekend. This week was a lot of work. I spent a lot of time working on the back end of business. Hopefully, some of our listeners will get an invite to be a guest on the show. And I put together a little appointment schedule that sends out an offer letter. That took me a while. That was pretty cool. I also worked with DJ Skip Rip on Friday. I'm building out some things for him, so that was pretty cool to get to work with him in a more operational setting and not just in the field. So that was pretty cool. We're going to start having a monthly astrology party at Bar Red.
So tell me more about these astrology parties.
They're exciting. We want to celebrate all the different signs, and they're going to start out on Saturdays, but we're moving them to Fridays in September because we'll start DU, where we'll have variety shows there on Saturday nights. But the next one is on the 19th. I believe it's a Libra.
Yeah.
Libra?
No. You off, yo. It's Leo. Yeah, we in Leo season. We in Libra yet. We ain't come to Virgo yet.
Maybe it's because Leos aren't in my... I'm a Capricorn. I don't think,
when you're around a Leo.
Leos can
Leos are
handle
loud and vibrant. They're like lions.
Can I host this one too?
Yeah.
I want to host all of them. I had a blast. That was fun.
Anthony, he wore his little white suit.
Don't call it little. Why you wanna be like that? Why I gotta be little? I'm a big dude.
No, you're not.
Huh?
You look like
I'm wide. I'm not tall. I'm only 5'9", but I'm wide.
Little chocolate arms.
Yeah. So kind of just did a lot of back end stuff, which was good. A lot of planning, a lot of thinking, a lot of pivoting. It was a good week. A good week. We have a comedy show Thursday night. at Rising Sun Distillery. Anthony's hosting a lineup that he curated. It's going to be pretty exciting. Two people I haven't seen before, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about it, mainly because you guys are diversifying the lineup. It's usually high testosterone on those lineups, and this one seems like it's a little different. Can you get into like the lineup and who you have on there?
I'll do it. I don't want LaRae to incriminate herself. Look, so it's gonna be an all-female lineup. You're not supposed to say that. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. They're all females, but I think they're dope. And you know, there's this stigma that women aren't as funny as men, and I don't believe that because I know some dope female comedians, and I want to highlight them. That's it. But you know, the thing is, you can't say they're females. They're just comedians, but they're all female.
It's the power of wit, right?
Yeah.
It's not athletics.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with what you got between your legs. It's all about your mind, you know.
Yeah. And the fact that a lot of people say there's not enough female comedians, so there's not a lot to pick from, which isn't true because Anthony found 5 beautiful women.
Yeah, you just gotta look, man. And I'm always at the mics and things, so I see people that other people really don't notice. And it's just like you say, we want to highlight people that's out there doing their thing, but really aren't getting the stage time to progress and develop, you know. So. Yep.
And I'm excited about our guest today.
Yes, tell us a little bit about our guest.
We have Leenda here. She's the owner of Cathexis Talent Agency. Hi, Leenda.
Hi.
You want to tell us a little bit about Cathexis and what that's about?
So I started it about 3 years ago. Is that too loud?
No,
you actually was good. Come back.
Come back.
I started it like 3 years ago after I graduated college with a bachelor's degree. I was making like $12 an hour, and I was like, screw this. So that's when I started it. And I did some modeling when I was going to school to like put myself through school, and so I just had like the experience, and yeah.
That's exciting. Do you have any role models growing up that were entrepreneurs, or how did you like get into that? Like have the idea like I'm just going to start my own business?
Well, it kind of started with like a lot of philosophers, I guess. It like inspired me to like want to actually change the world. So
now you got me all.
Well, one of the things I'd like for you to tell them, because I thought this was a beautiful thing, is what Cathexis means.
So Cathexis means the investment of energy in a personal idea. So we're investing in all of our talent,
which is awesome. And one of the things that I think is, you know, people misunderstand what a talent agency really is. I think they have an old idea of like you have to be at a certain level to sign with an agent, or you need to have certain capabilities and already be at the top of your game to be an agent, or once you sign with an agent, you're like signed your life away. But these things aren't true. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about what Cathexis idea of working with talent and basically doing like how you have them do
the mentorship program
and also developing them.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's dope. I thought that was pretty good.
So like we all need mentors, and like we can make a difference at the same time by going into some of these underprivileged schools. And so all of our talent is required to do 20 hours of community service a year. And so some of them are paid staff, and then some are volunteers. And it kind of helps weed out who you don't want to work with.
Right, because I feel like if people aren't invested in the community or fostering someone else or mentoring, that they're really not serious. Yeah. So they're only trying to get something for them and move on instead of, you know, develop a whole community or bring up a whole scene.
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure.
Right. What do you, as far as being an agent, like, what is when you talk to an artist and offer them to sign with Cathexis, like, what does that mean for them?
It depends on the artist. If I'm putting all of my energy into them, it's more of an exclusive contract. Or if I'm not big enough to give them the opportunities that come up for them, it's the open contract. That way they can get whatever's in their best interest. Because, like, I want to see everybody grow.
Which is one of the things that I love about your company and you. You're always on time.
I am so late. This is not true.
And then also that idea, you know, because people feel like agents have a stigma of sucking in talent and not letting them go. Or they'll spend all their time on their favorite person and not give these person the opportunities. And one of the things that you do that I think is amazing is you have all these resources and you offer them up to everybody in there. And it's up to them to actually take the initiative to go in and say, hey, I'm interested in that.
And be like self-motivated. That's why I don't take anyone serious if they don't fill out the application on our website, because like you got to take the time to do it.
Yeah, which is amazing. I like that. And then I also like that you're humble enough to say, I'm not big enough to help you with that, but let me find someone who can mentor you or can help me with that. And this is still open, so you can, you know, if something else comes up, you have the opportunity to do that too. So I think that's really cool. And also I love your branding. Like, you are very good at your brand.
Been working on it a little bit, but we have a long ways to go.
Yeah, it's cool. That's one thing I need to really work on. So I watch that. I look for that. What else would you like to tell people about Cathexis, and what kind of artists do you have? Like, tell them that, because I know everything, so I already
So Cathexis has a bunch of different categories. We have dancers, DJs, artists, models, actors. We've done some commercials, some events. We booked DJ Esco the first time he came into Denver. So,
which is really cool. And one of your talent was Miss Colorado, or was a runner-up?
So we just sponsored her to do the pageant, and she got third runner-up.
Which is super cool.
I'm so proud of her. Yeah, it was her first time doing a pageant. And
yeah, and then you had someone also move forward with, is it Big Brother? Is that what
yeah, so we casted some actors for that, and some of them made it to the final round. So they didn't get on it, but it's a good.
But those are exciting things. Those are things that no one else is offering in Denver right now, that you have access. That's one of your resources that, you know, you're opening up to people who are with Cathexis. And I think that's really cool. And that's the biggest thing is you are galvanizing all these resources for these artists that, you know, normally wouldn't have access to that style of opportunity when they're not in a bigger city. Because I saw you do casting for New York, California, for different things too.
Yeah, so we have a global goal. So as soon as we're in LA and New York, then we can get our talent more international opportunities. And I think as we connect all over the world, it's like one step closer to world peace.
There you go. Yeah. And you work with the Denver Nuggets as well? I did see that.
Yeah, so I teach yoga, and I do that at the Pepsi Center, but now I just got a space to teach yoga on Broadway.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking for yoga, Leenda is your woman. Go ahead.
I can do private lessons or group lessons.
I liked how she met my dad, and she offered him, you know, some yoga lessons too, to help, you know, stretch out them old muscles.
Is his muscles flexible enough to be put under that strain?
I don't know, but he definitely, you know, was something. He was interested in Tai Chi, and he got into a conversation with Leenda, and she kind of offered him, like, you can tailor it to a senior citizen though, right?
Yeah. Because it's so different when you're working with, like, normal people or athletes or kids. You just kind of have to focus on what they need the most.
Which is really cool. I don't know much about yoga. I'd probably die.
I do yoga.
We know ill.
I'm just saying.
You look like you do yoga. That's just like we talking about Ryan Fool. He's like, I do yoga. I'm like, you look like you do yoga, Ryan Fool.
Yoga is one of the best things for, like, centering self, kind of getting your day going. It's not strenuous. It's not running. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty meditative to me. That's how I feel. So, like, yeah, I like yoga. It's a good thing to engage in, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think I could live without yoga.
Yeah, it's an important thing for my mental health and my physical health.
Oh yeah, Anthony.
Anthony, as you can see, needs more yoga in his life.
I would like to try yoga. I would like.
It.
I'm not gonna say
try
it. Yeah, I do want to get into a yoga class and stretch my. I need flexibility. Huh?
First one is in here after.
There she goes. See, you have no reason not to do it now.
You're right. I've been wanting to try it. I've been making excuses.
You could do comedy yoga.
Everybody needs a hook.
The best teachers are the funny ones. I mean, you have people farting and stuff. Like
yeah. It gets real.
I don't know about no farting now.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to. You stretching all kinds of different.
As long as it don't smell.
It's gonna smell, man.
Nah, not like you. I know you like them old grandfather farts. You know what you do. Your grandfather used to. Your father used to smell it. This smelled like oppression.
He's farting off the. He's farting off freaking the oppression.
Oh my God.
The Great Depression.
What has been like the most exciting thing, or I guess like the most memorable for you since you've started your business?
All of it. Like every time we work with someone and then they're like, oh, we want to give you more contracts. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's exciting. And it's a learning process too. I feel like you can learn all the processes of running a business or go to school for business, but until you're out there and really in the field, you don't really realize it's a lot of work.
I think that's everything, man. I didn't realize how much went into creating an act. You know what I'm saying, on stage. You know, a lot of times for the regular person, you see an artist on stage and you just think, oh, they just get up there and do that. They don't understand the amount of work that goes behind the scenes to make one show happen. And so that's why I have a much deeper appreciation for arts, because now I see what it's like to create an act on stage. There's so much behind the scenes time.
Yeah, that's true. I know that playing with Roots, Rice, and Beans, like we've been doing like rehearsals like twice a week, once a week, twice a week, depends. But yeah, that rehearsal time and really cultivating your art and your craft, it's an important thing. I got a question for you. So within the artists that you engage and that you've been bringing onto your team, is there an artist development side of what you're doing? And then if so, what does that look like?
So that process is what we're focusing on right now, which is like where we started working with LaRae, because she's amazing at what she does, developing artists.
Your you.
Working with good people, so.
Nice. And do you like take that in consideration as you take people onto your agency? Is that like do you try to get more polished artists, or do you like artists who are at a variety of different levels, like an entry artist who's kind of rough or an artist who's more polished? Do you have how do you approach that?
So we have a bunch of different levels, and I think that's one of the things that makes us different too, because a lot of agencies, people won't give them the time of day if they're not, halfway developed at least. But with our mentorship program, if someone is just interested and they want to go hang out and watch someone DJ just to see if that's something they might want to try, and that's how you get people to jump into their goals and make some action plans.
That's what's up. I don't think you realize how important what you're doing is in this day and age, because being an artist is kind of like being an entrepreneur, because you are a business. You know what I'm saying? You have to conduct yourself as such. And it's just saying, we live in an age today to where you can't expect to have a pension or Social Security or things of that nature when you get old. So if you aren't self-sufficient to where you can create your own worth, then you kind of assed out. So it's very important. And I want to say this, I'm getting a good vibe off of you. I've been telling LaRae, I'm I want to meet her. Damn it, I want to meet her. But no, I've been getting a good vibe off of you. That's good. I was expecting some business lady coming here with a little mini skirt and a little jacket on with a little purse with a dog in it. It's grab my bags for me. But no, you cool people though.
I'm always in yoga clothes. Even sometimes I'll go to the club in yoga clothes because I have to do an event or something. Mm-hmm. But
that's one of the things that definitely drew me to her as well. Is you get a good vibe. She doesn't carry that typical stigma of what a business owner would look like, but the struggle is real. She is about her business for sure. She's very put together, and she has her mind on the goals. So that's hard to find. You can have that person who fits the mold, and they're out there floundering and not doing shit, taking advantage of other people and their resources, and that's how they're galvanizing their steam. But this woman, she's already, like, some of the stuff I'm like, holy shit. And how old are you? You already got all this stuff?
And that's
a
cool.
learning process, though.
And there's this stigma around, business people that they're cutthroat. And a lot of them are. They're cutthroat. They'll undercut you. They'll do all sorts of stuff behind your back, So it's good when you find people that's actually invested in what they do and they're not just trying to grab money from people and, do them wrong. That's cool.
Yeah, so with the community piece, how did you really start visioning that, or what made you actually want to kind of develop out the business side of, not even the business side, but the mentoring and more social side of the work that you're doing? So
the Boys and Girls Club in Montbello, I went out there because they were missing a basketball coach, and I just went with a friend, and then everybody was kind of looking at me funny, and then someone was like, you're the only white person that has come in here and played with the kids and been here for them without taking social media pictures. And I was like, that's really sad. I would freaking hate white people too. Well, they said the athletes and politicians will go in there, but just when they're running a campaign or doing marketing, and so they're not genuinely there.
Right.
And so that's when I figured that we need people in the middle class to go into some of the hoods. I mean, it's a lot better than it used to be, but and work with these kids, and so these kids can grow up knowing that everybody cares about them and can kind of help fix racism, and you get a variety of people to come be guest speakers, and you have expose them to those careers and those mentors and make it seem more of a possibility.
That's a powerful thing. I think that it's very much a needed thing. I feel the connection of art and education and the ways that young people engaged in that, and it kind of opens them up in a variety of different ways that they normally wouldn't be open to. I also see that you're partnered with Art from Ashes.
Oh, yeah.
So Catherine is a mentor of mine. Me and her go way back. She actually helped me get into the style of work that I'm in right now. So within that, I know the work that they do is heavily based off of mental health and really engaging young people in positive affirmations and really redeveloping their narrative and their story. So how has your partnership been with them, and how are you collaborating with your artists in that space?
So it's still kind of fresh. PJ Sykes, have you guys heard of him?
Yeah.
Shout out to PJ. But he was one of the first people that we started working with. And he just had in the beginning he wanted to be a rapper, and it's just been cool to watch him grow. And now he goes to LA and does stuff for I Empathize and United Way, and works with kids on poetry workshops and that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
I don't think I know that young person.
And he was had a rough life, so he can relate with a lot of kids.
That's one thing about Art from Ashes too, is I feel the young people that have been streamed through or who have connected to Art from Ashes on different levels have usually been through some pretty extreme things in their lives. And I feel that Catherine has a way of getting young people who are going through extremely hard situations to open up. I know that while I was working there, she had Jessie Hernandez, and she was one of the students that actually was one of my students when I was doing spoken word workshops through Art from Ashes. And during that time, she was a very bright, vibrant, cool kid. And I seen a lot of who she was within a short period of time. And during that time, I made a quick connection to who she was, and was able to kind of get into the depths of her struggles and what she was going through. And I think that after I heard what happened within the shootings that happened in the East Side with, her stealing a car and then the cops shooting at the car and her dying and everything like that, it made me realize how important that work is, and how quickly we connect to these young people, and the connection that we have is just for the moment. The work that we do as artists with young people we don't realize how big that impact is until after the fact. And sometimes we don't ever get to have that exchange in those words. So I commend you on doing that style of work and really getting these artists to engage in community work, because I feel like it's a humility that comes in art. And in order to actually advance yourself within art, you have to have a certain amount of humility. And I feel like kids make sure to call you out when you coming in with that big head. They're like, nah, man, I don't like that, man. I'm cool on that. And I think that the power of what you're doing, having your artists go through that, is something that really builds up not just the community, but it also builds up the culture of art and everything that you're engaged in. So bless. Thanks.
I think too, with the implicit bias, I think with the young people, it's important for them to have people that look like them in a role model, mentor kind of figure, so that they could see, oh, I can attain these things. This person looks like me. But also, I think that it's important to have a white person in that role that's not there marginalizing them for, like you said, advertisement or for the news or to get that. But also, that is a space. One thing that I struggled with as a minority was being able to talk to a white person in an authoritative figure. Like not feeling like you're worth enough or that you're at that person's level. I don't know. You're kind of grow up and you're like, oh, this person's already naturally above me because they're white. So having a person come in that they can talk to, that is a mentor, that they can actually have conversation with, and they're not there to take anything away, is huge, because then later they know, hey, I can talk to whoever. They're not better than me because they're white, because they're, they have this job, this person. I used to talk to Linda or whoever came in here, and, so I know I can do that. Like, it empowers them to do more later too. So I think that's a big thing too on the flip.
Yeah, I think it's pretty big, because if you notice with this this political climate, they're trying to take funding from arts and things out of school, and I think that's because they know that to be art kind of makes you want to have a deeper understanding of everything that goes on around you. I think to be a successful artist, you have to have that ability to look behind the scenes and inner workings of things. And that's what art does. And that's pretty much, they don't want you that. They want you to be like a drone, go to work, bring your ass home, do this for the rest of your life and then die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas I think art gives you that release to actually investigate things. And I actually have a friend, true life story, to where his mom was on drugs. She pretty much gave him away to drug dealers at like 3, I think he said. And he was from drug dealer from 3 to 10. And they finally raided the house and they found out where he was at, and they put him into foster care, and he was so messed up, so angry, they couldn't do anything with him, and they wanted to just throw him away. They're like, we gotta lock this kid up, because everything we do, it just fails. And so what one of the counselors suggested is that we just need to find an area where he can focus his anger into that won't hurt him. And what he did was he started doing martial arts. And he's a bad boy now. He's 6th degree in 4 different martial arts. Wow. And he doesn't use it. He won't fight. He teaches, but he came about when MMA was first started kicking off. And I used to tell him man, dude, you need to get into this. He's I don't want to hurt anybody. He's I just like to learn it. I like to teach it. But he's I don't want to fight with it. And that saved his life. And that's just another form of art.
Well, oh yeah, definitely. Without a question.
So definitely, that's much needed. Shout out to you for doing that.
And there's one more aspect. So Cathexis, the investment into people and specific things, even if they're unhealthy, that's part of the definition too. So it kind of teaches our talent that they can take all that negative energy and put it into something constructive.
Yeah, that's powerful.
One of the art projects you did, if you're not following Cathexis, you need to follow them on Instagram and Facebook, all the social medias. But you posted an art project that you did at Wyatt, and it was a construction of a volcano. And I didn't know this, so they had poured Coke in the middle and then dropped Mentos in there, and it foamed out. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I wanted to make one.
Mentos refreshment.
That shit causes Coke to actually
You didn't do that in school?
No.
I did that in school.
I didn't. I went to, like, you want to talk about, like, a hood or a very low income. I went to Mapleton Public Schools, District 1, and my graduating class was 130. Like, everyone either was super poor, their parents worked the farm still, or their parents owned the farms. So, like, we didn't have that stuff. You know what they taught us? Plus, I'm old. But they taught us to sew. Like, we had to take food.
Quilts and stuff.
Yeah, like, I'm an amazing cook now because of that. But, you know, and I can sew, but I don't like it.
Those skills.
My collars never come out right.
I feel that's one of the things that we're losing in school is like one of those engagements. You know, like I think like you look back at it. I thought when I was in school, I had like astrology, had gardening,
like actual skills.
Yeah.
Like,
now they're like, we're gonna teach them coding and then just let them play on the computer.
That's where we're at right now, for real.
Whatever they need, that's what they'll gear education towards. And
well, yeah, exactly.
We're going into that technology age where they need people that's going to write code. Like, have you ever been to like a video game studio? That is intense. Like, those dudes are literally glued to those screens for weeks, months, years developing games. And then they're on to the next project. So they're essentially drones. So that's where we're going to a society. So that's what education is pushing you towards. It's not pushing you towards learning how to build a house or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Anything self-sufficient. Right. It's all about providing services for other people.
Yeah, I mean, you seen that really happen, like, during like the 1970s, right? Like during the 1960s.
Like it was all factory workers and stuff.
Exactly. Like 1970s, 1960s, they had all kinds of musicians. You think about like in the black neighborhoods, you had the Motown, right? So in Motown, you had like Smokey Robinson, the Temptations, Marvin Gaye, all these people who came artistically and like were able to get on these different platforms through these labels that were pushing it. All these kids were learning how to play instruments in church. And they were learning how to play it in schools. And then right in the 1970s, the churches broke down, right? The schools broke down. You look at New York and the actual like way New York broke down, it was crazy. I mean, they went into ruins. And they had slumlords who were burning down the buildings during that time. So like because of that, you had also blaxploitation movies that were coming out. That's when Superbad came out. That's when Dolomite came out. All these like crazy.
Was
like,
the Spook at the Door considered?
Yeah, that was considered like a blaxploitation movie. And because of that, you had the 80s roll in, crack started flooding the neighborhoods, and all the art programs, everything within the schools funding-wise was just taken out. So, like, I feel like right now we're just in a rebuild right now in this new millennium, really trying to get that back engaged and kind of back infused into our school systems and really get our kids kind of, you got to have a creative outlet. I feel like we went to Gold Crown recently and talked to Cassandra. And Cassandra, she has like the kids doing drones. They're building robots. They're doing all kinds of cool things within the schools right now.
One of the cool things she did is when I was in school, we didn't have that kind of technology. And what's cool about Gold Crown is it's free to these kids, you know. But we would be given plexiglass to work with, and I remember I wanted to make a pyramid. I've always been infatuated with pyramids. I don't know why. But I layered this pyramid up, and then I cut it with the lathe, and anyone who knows that, it burned the whole side of the plexiglass. So it took me the whole semester, and I got an A for the class. Like, I don't know what this teacher was thinking, but that's all I worked on this whole semester. And they've got a 3D cutter there that cuts... It was plexiglass. There was another kind of like, she said it was stronger. Yeah. I don't remember what it was. Wood. Like just amazing stuff. And these kids can come in. They had cool sewing machines, like industrial kind that they can make like huge things with. Leather. They were building a track to race, and they were using this 3D machine to actually cut wheels. And
they were making the cars out of scratch, out of just raw materials, building the engines out of nothing.
I think Best Buy was one of their contributors.
Boeing was one of the
and they gave them all of these touchscreen computers like these kids have access to. It was kind of amazing to see, and what was really crazy is it's been there 10 years, and I never had heard of it.
You know what's crazy is like at the Denver library, I think they have a 3D printer. So if someone has an idea or they want to get their kids involved in something, they have some good stuff at the library. Like, what a great resource.
That's crazy. And people don't know that.
Denver has great resources. I mean, we complain about it a lot, but this city actually is very resourceful.
I wonder what the problem is, what the disconnect is in the marketing to get it out there. I know these places don't have the budget to market, but why isn't it getting out there?
I think that it's just not communicated enough. I have a page on my website. It's the TRC, Talent Resource Center. So all the things that I find that are like that, I put on there. So, I mean, the more they can help themselves, the faster we can all go.
That's really cool. So you post information on resources and connections on your page? Yeah, like where you can
get a free cell phone, how to get help with healthcare.
That's really dope. So is that on your webpage or is it on your group page or how do you access that?
On the website, or we have an app too, so you can get there through that too.
You got an app? Mm-hmm. You hear that, people? Download the app. So it's only for talent. I have to send you the link. Oh, okay.
People can't look it up.
Oh, I see.
But I can send you the link.
Yeah, I'm down.
That's one of the amazing things is that's why I'd wanted you to talk about, what people think a talent agent really is. Like, you're truly just looking for the development of the artist, and you've created this individual app for them just to look at. You have all of your resources. I saw you had a call for makeup artists for ESPN was here doing a shoot, and you had put that out there. I mean, so it's not even just like musicians or drummers or models or whoever. It's for makeup artists, hairstylists, I mean, everything. So that whole connected group, I mean, that right there that's something not done. So that's really cool.
It's a powerful group too because they help each other. So if I can't be there, I'm like, hey, can you go support this person? And
that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. You have, whenever anyone who is signed within your talent agency or part of it, you post what they're doing and you galvanize your whole following to go and support that person, because I think it's hard to do individually. People think, especially, promoters, that the first thing we look at, even me, is, how many people are Facebook friends? What's their Twitter look like? Because that gauges for me how much promotion I need to do. If this person's got like 10,000, 20,000 people following them and they're posting stuff, I know, I'm getting a pretty good draw, a lot of imprints on that. But if someone only has like 500 or 1,000 followers, I know I got to put in some work too, right? But you have this built-in base for them, and whenever they have something, you flow everyone to that event, or you specifically ask them, which is a huge thing too, not just putting it out there, because sometimes you do that and people, this is happening, but we're all so busy. But you're specifically, hey, can you go do this for me? I can't go. And you've showed up to all their stuff. I always see the young lady that you said took third or placed third for Miss America. I saw you there in the pictures that were posted for her. I saw you. What was another thing? You were supporting someone else. I'm not sure. I know you work with Luciferian too, with Theo.
Oh, yeah.
Luciferi.
Yeah.
He's having such a positive impact. So.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Him and Il have done some things.
Yeah, we go way back, Slam Nuba, poetry community, things like that. He's a great person. I love his mind.
I think you went to Renaissance, right? And Theo hosted that event.
Yeah, Theo's awesome.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that is the girl who did Miss Colorado, Tiana Cooks, he was mentoring her to do poetry because that was her talent. And when I did Miss Colorado, that was my talent too. Because my parents didn't have money to put me in dance class and stuff when I was younger. So I would write a lot, and yeah, that's why I think it's important to have the arts categories and make them wider, because some people, if you think dance is the only thing that you can get into, you don't know your options.
Right, and you don't know. I think, Anthony, you were very interested in fitness, right?
Yeah, that was when I was skinny. I'm fat now, so I don't care.
No, you're not. Whatever.
No, but I've actually, I don't know if I've told you this, but you know, I was always an artist. I can draw really well, and I actually, when I was in high school, I took art just for the easy A. But all of my designs, my art teacher kept. And when I was getting ready to graduate, he told me he had put together a portfolio to get me a scholarship to the Art Institute of Chicago. But I didn't want to do, I only did art, I only drew just to, you know what I'm saying, ease my mind. I didn't want to make it a job or something I had to do. So I turned it down. But I've always, you know what I'm saying, been an artist and done things. But it's like, you know, something just kind of pushed me in that direction. And now it's like, you know, I'm actually developing what I know I already can do.
Yeah, I feel like I was having a conversation I played over at Brick in New York last week, and I was talking to like a variety of different artists, and I feel like it's kind of what you were talking about with like you just naturally were an artist, you're just naturally good at drawing. I feel like everybody has the capability to be an artist. All of us are artists at the root of who we are, but like our society and the way that we've developed our society, we have a tendency to put artists on a pedestal. And like if you look at like just regular indigenous cultures, it's just everybody's an artist. They're playing instruments, right? They're drawing pictures, like everything. They're dancing, the drums that they have just naturally like in their culture. And I feel like we're all naturally artists. We hit that age at some point where we turn off that art, you know, and then we have to get straight and we have to get business. And we have to be about.
Well, it's the pressure that society puts on you to be a certain thing,
right?
To graduate from high school, go to college, get a job, then have kids. You know that people are having kids at 30, 35 years old when your body is primed to have kids when you're like 19, 20. That's when you're supposed to be having kids, but because of the societal norms, you don't do that.
Right.
You know,
the starving artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are scared of starving and being an artist for sure.
That's one of the things that'll switch us into our next topic too is like as far as with the artists that you work with right now, I know I've been to several meetings and meetups where the artists are talking about like Rhino being set up as a new art district and they can't even afford to live there, yet the city is commissioning them to do art down there so that the new people moving in can feel like it's still that art district. But no artists live there anymore. No one can even afford to, you know, have a spot there for the artists anymore. They're being pushed out. So, you know, not only are minorities being, you know, pushed out of their neighborhoods because they can't afford the taxes anymore. They can't afford because they're building these huge houses. But artists took an area that no one wanted to live in. They lived there and they did their art there. And now with the gentrification, these people are coming in and pushing them out of there, but they don't want them just to take their art away. So they're like, hey, we'll commission you to, you know, paint this mural or to put this sculpture here, but then you got to go. Like, have you seen that with any of the artists that you work with? Are any of them experiencing that displacement or a place to, like painters too, like even having a studio to go to anymore? That's like, you know, anymore. Do you have anyone going through that right now?
It gets a little cliquey, I've heard. But I think that you know a little bit more about that than me.
Yeah, I feel like as far as like the scene artistically out here, there are definitely a lot of cliques out here. Like there's a lot of different pockets. Comedy, like comedy doesn't necessarily connect to the music industry. The music industry doesn't necessarily connect to the poetry industry.
And then with each industry, you have cliques.
Yeah, and then you have cliques within the cliques. I think that right now, artists and activism and advocacy is a big thing here in Denver. I'm not going to say just here in Denver. I know that's happening in Houston. It's happening in a variety of different places. And with that, I think like when we went out to Houston, one of the biggest things that I really appreciated is the ownership that the artists took of their community and the ways that they did it in engaging like co-ops and really galvanizing their power within those co-ops. And I feel like that could happen here in Denver, but it's a little trickier because we have so many developers coming in and because we don't really own any buildings. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, you know, I'm really big on like that new Jay-Z song because he talks about financial literacy and owning things. And I think that like that's one of the biggest struggles that's happening artistically. If you're a struggling artist, if you're barely paying your bills, if you're like, if you know, like even if you have some style of success within your art, what's the realities of you actually owning something at some time based off of your financial, because you can make a considerable amount of money and still be broke if you don't know how money works. And if you don't understand like the actual the need for credit, you know. And I think a lot of these artists don't, and that's why we're losing so much power within these communities, and they can push us out. But with that being said, they pushed us out to Aurora because that's where things are actually starting to cultivate right now. If you look at Montbello, Aurora, right now, there are actually things brewing out in those areas and venues that are going to start popping up. And then what ends up happening is, does Denver keep its culture because it's pushing art out? So does Denver become the boring center place where everybody goes to just get high and smoke weed, and you have to go out to Aurora or you have to go out to Lakewood? Or
the last organic art district, which is Santa Fe Street.
Right.
You know, and they're worried about that area as well.
I mean, I feel like even more so than a Rhino district, Santa Fe has history. You know what I'm saying? Like strong rooted history within the Latino culture community out there. And they've held on to it for a long time, a lot longer than the East Side and Park Hill. So to see that there's already a push.
Yeah, I'm about to say they don't give a fuck about no history. What they gonna do? They'll come over there. They're gonna tear that shit down, and then they're gonna build like a Hispanic statue for all the history. It's gonna build like a little chihuahua and a taco.
And a taco.
Celebrate all Hispanic history. They did that. It's like a little district over here. I guess it used to be like a black district or a black area.
5 points.
But it's just one specific area where it was I can't remember. It was a guy, and it's a statue over there now of the guy, and he did something over there, but they gentrified it. But they put the statue of him there. They had like a little thing and tell him what he did, but. They took all
just like the library in Wilton.
Blair Caldwell.
Yeah, just like that. They put a bunch of the history in there. So they ripped apart that street, built all the apartments, and then they put statues and remnants and pictures of what that really used to look like inside that library. And that library is at risk right now.
Right. Actually, John Shockness. Big up, John. What up, dog? He's been doing a lot of advocacy work in that area. He's been putting a lot of attention to the things that are happening over in the East Side, trying to, get people to pull in their resources and to actually to be active in their community and really try to be proactive in doing something instead of being reactive.
Right.
You know.
I know he's got the GoFundMe for that mural that was on the side of Deep Rock. And what I don't understand is the city wants to, commission artists to paint some stuff down in Rhino for all these people coming in. Like, these people can afford $2,500 a month of rent. Let's give them a mural. But you can't pay to replace this mural that's in this historic area. So the community is actually doing a GoFundMe to get that mural fixed, which I think is crazy. I don't understand. Where are these weed dollars?
A young artist could probably do it, donate his time, and then he has a piece on a wall.
Yes. And that's what it is, too, is really...
I would pay someone to do a logo, with art, some art, and then put our logo on there.
Yeah. I think that... The trade. What? Trading, bartering.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Work,
The barter system. I love the barter system.
Yeah.
I love doing stuff and not have to pay cash for it. I donate my services as much as you like.
That's one thing I talked about Theo with is building a community that's not based around money, and I'm really for that.
It's a hood community.
Yeah, that's really
it's going back to the roots. Yeah, that's what we all did before people had accessible money like that.
That's how you survived the Great Depression.
Right, exactly. Right. It's bartering. I think we're definitely getting back to that. I think it's a necessary skill to have. There's so much ego nowadays, and then people are always hoarding their skills.
I was just going to say that sometimes people want to barter and they have nothing to bring to the table, or they think they do because of their ego.
Think they don't have anything.
And they don't have anything. The balance, the trade there isn't there, and then that's one of the uncomfortable situations that I find myself having to learn to navigate through.
Right, me too. My career is based off of bartering. I feel like there's so much exchange that I do, just like trading out with people. And like, there's definitely, you can feel it in certain people where you're like, nah, we're not going to be able to do this. I can already tell you already have that reluctance, within the trade and the bartering. But it's I feel like art and a craft and a skill and trades, you gotta barter. You gotta like utilize your skills to get that exchange.
And sometimes doing something for no money can bring you money
down the line. Yeah.
Like, everything doesn't have to be about money. Sometimes it's just building up to that. Like,
that's kind of how I built my whole comedy thing, is that I was going to those obscure mics that nobody went to way up in Longmont, Greeley, Fort Collins. I was going all up there down to Pueblo. And I was going to these shows, I was killing them, and I was meeting people in the audience like, hey, I put this show on, man. I thought you was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Come do this show for me. And so I was making money from just going to these places that nobody goes to, or really established comedian goes to, go out there, rock their mic, and then I meet somebody, or even them. They're like, hey, man, I thought you was pretty dope. I want to start a showcase. Can you headline the showcase? I'll pay you this. I'll pay you that.
The art of networking.
Yeah.
The lost art.
And it's like getting out there. People think they can just post pictures on social media. Like, go do something.
Right. Yeah. Man. Yes.
I'm the king of that, man. I'm everywhere. And I put my own money into it. So I understand you have to invest in yourself for you to prosper. So like, everything I do is I'm putting my own money into it. Like, I'm flying to these different states and I'm doing these shows for I'm either breaking even or I'm putting money into it. But I understand this is a development thing, and I'm going out there, and every time I go somewhere, I meet somebody like, hey, you ever come back through here, let me know, I got a show for you.
Left that mark there.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Working with someone who invests in themselves, because I find myself gravitating more now towards people like that, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of big name artists who don't invest in themselves. They feel like everyone should invest in them. And even though like they're the hottest person out there right now, or they're the best in their field, I would rather not work with them, because I'm not investing more in you than you're investing in yourself.
Well, you know what? It becomes an egotistical thing. I think people get to a certain level and they forget that your fans, the people that come to see you, that's like your boss. You know what I'm saying? You have to give them what they want. You know what I'm saying? But so if you're just out there doing what you want to do and you're not appreciating them supporting you and things of that nature, then eventually they'll just go support somebody else that appreciate that. And I think a lot of artists, they get to a certain level and they get big-headed. They think they're bigger than the people they're performing for. And you're not.
That's one thing that Molly says. He's an R&B and artist. Is one of the things he says is he always comes through for his fans, because everybody's going through something. So you don't know if they spent their last $5 for the week to come and see you.
Exactly.
So you have to look at it as everybody's struggling and they're coming to see you and support you, but you don't know what's going on at home.
Yeah, that's why I hate when I do shows and some of the comedians be like, oh, fuck this crowd, this, that, the other. I'm like, Joe, you don't know what's going on? I'm like, you don't know who's in that audience tonight that could be a potential lifelong fan. But you want to go out there and you want to give them 50%. That's not right. Every time you step on the stage, you give them 100%, 110% if you can, muster it up.
Exactly.
And one of the things you did in the beginning, which was very impressive, is even if only 4 people showed up, you still went out there with the same energy, and some artists will be like, there's only 4 here. I'm not going to go up. Are we really going to do this?
People appreciate that, though, and I understand it, because I've had people hit me up on Facebook after they see me at the show, like, hey, man, thanks for coming out and doing that I know it was only 5 people there, but you really rocked the house. People appreciate that little stuff, man. That's why I do it, and that's how you build an audience, a following. Yeah. You do things that people appreciate, because a lot of people just don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's basic knowledge that most artists don't know.
Yeah,
this is basic knowledge that, like, I was talking to an artist yesterday, and I was like, you have to invest in your fans in order for them to invest in you, because they don't have any reason to just like you. If you don't, you're dope, but like nowadays with social media, if you're not investing in the people, because it's a reality TV show mentality, but like they have to know you, they have to be familiar with you, you have to be a person to you.
That's the whole thing about art and performing, is when someone no one has to come see you live. Everything is on the internet. There's so much content on the internet. If you just want to sit at home and watch content all day, you can do that. When a person comes out to see you live, they want to make a connection with you. They want to make that connection. So it's up to you to see if you can develop that connection in that time that you're on stage and get a fan or a follower.
Right.
So it's very important that you have that. I feel like the crowd can feel when you're not giving your all, or when you aren't really trying to connect with them. You know, it's like an energy you give off.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. There's one thing I wanted to bring up before we moved on into the convo is Famous Pizza. So there is a staple here in Denver, Colorado. It's a pizzeria that's off of Broadway and I believe Archer, right off of Broadway and Archer, I believe. It's called Famous Pizza. One of my friends and associates, his name is Ben Chavez, and his wife to be Julia, have been advocating and really getting into community for different businesses that have been pushed out from landlords selling buildings and things like that. So Famous Pizza has been a staple in Denver for at least 30 years, if not more than that. It's a family that's owned that pizzeria, and I believe they own a few other restaurants throughout the city. And right now they're actually experiencing some pressure. More than pressure, they're being asked to actually leave the facility that they've been in for almost 30 years off of Broadway.
Which goes back to not owning a building, too. Mm-hmm. So they've been renting this space for 30 years.
The ownership. So, and that's one of the things that I've been really thinking about is how effective are protests, right? So at this point, we've been doing a lot of protests. There's a lot of advocacy happening around these different places that are being put, that gentrification has taken over and things like that. And I believe that the only way that protest is really effective is if you have a plan within that protest, right? So like if you're protesting to change a policy, if you're protesting with a plan to actually engage or, effectively can change the mind of a landlord who is thinking about something, because in reality, developers are offering millions of dollars to these business owners or these building owners. So like, how effective is the protest? And are we trying to bring attention to the problem so that we can change maybe the deals that are happening around it or whatever? Or are we just bringing attention and letting people know what's happening in the community? And we need to be aware of the ways that these businesses are being pushed out.
Go ahead.
It's like the difference between people complaining and then doing something about it.
Right.
Like progressive protesting.
Progressive protesting. I like that.
You know how I feel about this topic. It ain't gonna work. When it comes to matters of money, you can protest all you want, but they're eventually gonna do what the hell they want to when it's about money. It is what it is.
That's why people just gotta get smarter.
Huh?
That's the way that they approach things.
So, what's the gentleman's name in Houston that really changed the game within owning land, got the artists to like galvanize?
I forgot his name.
Is that the row houses guy?
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
We need to get his name. I'm sorry, sir, if you're listening to us. We apologize for not remembering your name. We know you're doing big things. Within that, they galvanized artists to like put together their resources. They bought the row houses that were there in Houston, made them art galleries. And these are all like plantation shacks. They used to be slave homes. So they made these slave homes into like these art galleries. And then from that, the community has been engaged in really keeping up all the cool events and things that are happening in Houston right now. But it took the community galvanizing, coming together, getting over differences I'm sure that they had over there in order to save that space. And I feel like I love what Houston is doing, because the ways that they engage really protecting their landmarks in their communities, we need to take some of that here,
And it was the whole area. It wasn't like just a few people showed up. And in looking at this article, it looks like they'd been there renting for 43 years.
43 years.
43 years. So they opened in the 70s and 1974, actually. So he's talking about it's been difficult even to make money because there's no place for people to park anymore. Because that's become, a big area for bars and people just walking around and hanging out. So they just learned only 2 weeks ago. So they only got this notice 2 weeks ago after 43 years that they're not going to renew the lease. And in this article, Gus, the owner, he talks about they don't want pizza here anymore. They just want something else. That pizza's not needed. So that was what he was given. But what was sad is there's a woman there, Alika, and she's worked there for 30 years. That's the only job she's had for 30 years. So she's worried. She's like, I love my job. I love Gus. I'm old now. What am I going to do? This is all I've ever done. And so that, to me, was kind of like, holy crap, like, these people are getting displaced. He only has a few employees, but, you know, that's game-changing to where she may end up having to, like, what is she going to do?
Yeah, because, I mean, she's older and she's a female. Yeah. So you deal with ageism and sexism in the workplace, and it's out there. Yeah. That's actually the fear I have of my mom, because she sued her job, and she won. And now they pretty much, so what they did, I guess it's retaliation. They resolved her position and gave her like a severance package, and like, you out of here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they can't do that because it's a union position. And if you dissolve a position, you have to have another position. You can't just get rid of that person, because, I mean, you can use that to retaliate like they're doing. But we'll see.
Is she fighting against it with connecting with a union or anything?
Yeah, yeah, it is. But, I mean, I've seen things like that within, and they still lose. Yeah, and they'll carry it out for months and months and months, and you're not getting paid, and you can't get on unemployment, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, yeah, it didn't. You're fired.
Yeah, man. America, where we're at right now, society, system, it's a scary thing to really think about. And like, I think, like, recently I did a class with kids, and we taught them civics, and we taught them like the actual, how the federal government works versus local government, right? And I feel that even adults, especially adults, we're very ignorant to how the federal government works, and we're very ignorant to how local government works. And because of our ignorance, we don't engage within like local politics and what's affecting us and what's being put onto the ballots. You know what I'm saying? Different policies that are being changed that affect us. And just so y'all know, it's getting ready to come up. 2018, that's the midterm elections that they do. So like the fact that we don't engage in those styles of needed politics that are happening and affecting our local communities, and we only pay attention to politics when the president is running, which is dangerous, because if we're only paying attention to politics when the president is running, that means that there's 4 years where they're just jacking us over, just literally fucking us over.
But that's the thing. They know that people are ignorant to that, and they use it against them. Right. They aren't dumb.
No, not at all.
It's not like they don't know what people are doing. They have people out there surveying what people do all the time. Everything you do is collected as data and given to somebody to tell them something about you.
It makes the propaganda more effective.
Exactly.
It does.
Exactly. And then, with the technology age, or the information age is what I like to call it, I think it got to a point where the internet got where people was getting too much information, like real information.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had too much access to it. So now you have this flood of fake news.
Yeah.
So now you don't know what's real, you don't know what's fake. And I don't, like, how do you give these fake news an outlet to put out fake news, but then they won't tell you it's fake? You gotta go all the way down to the bottom, this little small print, like, this is fake, you know what I'm saying? Or this is satire news. And I'm like, why? That should be in the headlining. Because you have dumb people. Fuck it, y'all dumb. I'm calling you dumb. Well, they would just read the title of an article, and they'll try to make a whole assumption off the article. They'll read like the first paragraph.
It happens all the time. I've gotten in arguments on the internet, like right around election time. Did you read the article? I was like, yeah, I've read the articles. Democracy now. Like, yeah, no, I got in a lot of arguments around it. And you're right. It is so much fake news just flooding. Yeah,
they put it out there, man. So now you don't know what's real or what's fake, and now you have all these people making all this noise, and they don't have the real information. So you got this person come out and just discredit you and make you look like a fool, so nobody else listens to anybody that's bringing up that topic.
I had one of the news stations call me to see if I wanted to be on there to be one of the top talent agencies, and they wanted to sell me the spot, and I was like, it doesn't sound like news. It sounds like marketing.
Exactly.
And that's actually the industry. That's how it works, right? It may have always worked like that, but it definitely, they're paying for slots.
They did that to me too. So I got this phone call, and she was like, hi. She was like, are you the owner of 5280 Entertainment? And I was like, yeah. And she said, we have one spot, and we can only have one local entertainment company, and we feel like your company should be in that spot. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they were just trying to sell to me. And then I also had them call me once and tell me that my show at Rising Sun Distillery had been recognized, and that they wanted to send someone from 103.1, which is the comedy station here in Denver, to come out to the show to talk. And I thought, cool, I'm going to get some, an interview. I'm going to get someone to come out here. And no, this woman came to sell me ad space on the radio. I was like, I'm grassroots. I can't afford 103.1 rates, That's not going to happen. But back to the protesting, I think it's an important thing. However, I think in Denver right now, we're very reactionary. Where in Houston, they were preparing. They were
proactive.
They were very proactive, and were reactionary. So when this happened, we knew this was going to happen. So why didn't we start putting things into place months ago, 2 years ago? And now if we don't want it to further continue to happen, or to take out these old mom and pop establishments, we need to start doing something now to stop the ones from being displaced now before they are.
I agree with that.
Well, the thing about it is that there's only a small amount of the community that even gives a fuck. Yeah. Because if it isn't affecting you directly, you don't bother until it affects you directly. Case in point, out there in Maywood, where I'm from, they were closing the library down, right? Now, the library was having fundraisers. They was doing all this stuff. They was advertising. I seen it. I'm not even out there anymore, but I seen it. But then it got to a point to where no one was coming to these things, no one was supporting them, and when they finally said we're shutting it down, now you got protests.
Right.
Well, they were doing things for 2 years before this. You didn't come out and support. You can't come out and say, oh, they're taking resources out of our community, when if you would have supported that resource while I was in your community, it would still be there. But you ignored it until it became, on the chopping block, and now it's too late.
One of the things I don't think got enough publicity was My Brother's Keeper. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. I work with My Brother's Keeper initiative.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
So, when all the Black Lives Matter stuff was going on, I was emailing the White House, let's set up some things to, help heal this problem. And then Obama or, one of his assistants emailed me back, and that's when I learned about the program, My Brother's Keeper.
Yeah, My Brother's Keeper initiative has been doing a lot of work within galvanizing different community leaders, people who are already having different programs that they've been practicing in the community. And pretty much what My Brother's Keeper initiative has really been doing is putting money into the community by engaging these different programs that are dealing with dealing with the school to prison pipeline. One of the office that I work for is the Office of Independent Monitor. Most of the work that we're doing right now through them is engaging police and youth interactions. So the way that we've been doing that is doing implicit bias workshops and emotional intelligence workshops, things like that. But My Brother's Keeper initiative, I feel like I knew that as soon as Obama got out of office, that there wasn't going to be a spotlight on that movement as much, for obvious reasons. So I think that it's important. I know that they have My Brother's Keeper initiative in Houston right now. And
one of the broadcasters on the morning show, he is a member of that.
Right. Yeah. And, the work that's happening around that is really to just really get community to really engage and connect. It's to connect. It's kind of what you're doing with your business, I think I'm not pro politics, and I'm not pro system, and I'm not pro the president, and I wasn't pro Obama, but I appreciate the fact that Obama, coming from a grassroots background in Chicago, and was developing and building out in the community, as he was exiting out, he made sure to initiate some real change that he's seen that needed to be happening. Him sitting at that seat, he's not going to say the things that needs to be said about in the black community. It's just not going to happen. That's not what a president is there for. And like the people who are controlling what he can and can't say aren't going to allow him to do that. So the fact that he actually engaged in some style of grassroots engagement with MBK, My Brother's Keeper Initiative, and is really still funding that and still pushing that is an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing to observe. But yes, yeah, and it's taken a lot of flack because it's connected to a system and because it's connected to a president and everything like that. And I know that activist-wise, being in an activist community, there are a lot of activists who believe that, you know, you have no connection with the system. If you're going to be an activist, you should be trying to take down the system because it's broken, which I agree with. But I also know the realities of revolution versus evolution, right? And the only way that we can actually evolve is to interact within the system and pay attention to the things that are being passed on us and really be engaged in those things. So I think, you know, I say that just because I take a lot of flack from like doing the style of work I do within it. And I feel like I feel like what I do is evolution work. Other people feel otherwise for a variety of different reasons. So yeah, it's an important thing. I'm glad that you brought that up just because I feel like there is a lot of community activists and advocates that are doing great work through MBK, for sure.
So how do people get in connection with Opt? Is he...
Yeah, so you can get Ben Chavez, Opt1, Facebook. Reach out to him on his Facebook page. It's probably the best way to like get in contact with him. He's made some posts that have been talking a little about what's happening with Famous Pizza. His family is we're business owners here. They own a restaurant off of Broadway called The Shanty that they owned, I believe, since the 70s, and they closed it down in the early 2000s. So his investment in the community and what's happening around these businesses, he's known Gus, you know what I'm saying, since he was a kid. So it's something that really impacts him. He has a real emotional connection to that. So I think that contacting him and really just being engaged, like even outside of this, just be engaged to like what's happening in the community and these businesses that they're closing. And like Candy Baca, she's doing a lot of work in the community right now with around gentrification, homes, ownership, land.
Ditch the Ditch.
Ditch the Ditch.
Yeah.
So we're going to have her on as a guest soon, but like contact people like Ben Chavez, contact people like Julie Gonzalez and Candy Baca, people who are engaged in the community, who actually see things that are happening and are being proactive. John Shockness, contact John and see what he's doing within his movement. Those are important things to engage in. Like Anthony said, there's people out there who are like telling you like, this is about to shut down. What are we going to do about it? But there's people out there who are actually in the grassroots who are doing the work and are looking for you to help support it. So. And
that they have the real information too, because I know Candy, she's very well versed and has, you know, they filed a suit against the I-70 change as well, because it doesn't solve the problem. It's going to widen everything, but they're not doing anything to change the interchange where you're getting on I-25. So even though you'll have 20 lanes, it's 20 lanes slowing down to merge into one lane to get onto I-25. So it's going to really increase it, and then it's also going to displace the people in that community. But when you see what the government's doing, they're actually holding events within Swansea and Elyria, and they are giving the community things. They're like trying to trick them into thinking this is going to be a good thing. And then people I've talked to who don't know like the total plans of what's really going on, they think, oh, this is going to be good. We need this. This highway's terrible. Or I've seen where people are driving through the community and it ends up, you know, making traffic run smoother. But it's not true.
There's a mall that's going to be built and they're convincing the community it's such a great idea, but they don't talk about all the people that are getting kicked out of their homes.
Exactly.
That's one thing that Anthony brought up that I've really noticed driving around lately too, because there's pockets. There's like a street where everyone on it is white, and then there's a house, and there's a black person, brown person, and then there's white. And then most of the people that live there, they've been displaced. So now they're in another community. So now, right now in Colorado, gangs are at an all-time high. And it's because what Anthony said, they've messed with the ecosystem just like in Chicago. So now these gang members that used to, or people were their territory, were here, they're having to move to a new territory and learn that whole new system. And there's some resistance there. And there's, is what's going on. And then I feel like they lie about what's really going on. Last night, I saw a shooting at a predominantly white club. That wasn't on the news. It was nowhere. But then you have something that happens in 5 Points that didn't really happen. What did they arrest? Like 20 women? And they put it out on the streets like it was some big gang or drug bust that they've been plotting for years on 25th and Welton. Well, if anyone's been to 25th and Welton lately, there's no drug place. Those are like...
There's a lot of tech money going on.
There's a lot of tech money. There's these new businesses there. So it's all propaganda.
That's what they do when they want to come in and they want to buy land cheap. They'll let it deteriorate to a point to where the investors could come in real cheap and build real cheap. That's all it is. They're letting the value come down so investors can come in, buy the land up cheap because nobody's going to want to be there because the crime rate is so high and this, that, and the other. Like they put Chicago out there. They're gentrifying Chicago right now. And they put Chicago out there, but Chicago is like 7th in murders. But you would think they're number 1 because all you see is Chicago.
That's what they put out there.
Yeah. All you see is Chicago.
Chirac.
Yeah, but it's like 8th or 9th in the nation as far as like murders and gun violence is concerned. But every time something happens in Chicago, you hear about that, but you don't hear about stuff in Little Rock, Arkansas, or Louisiana, and all these places that's wild. Way up higher on the list.
Yeah, it's wild out there. Yeah,
but it's all it's marketing. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's marketing.
Yeah. And like as a community, we have to be smarter around those things. Like we have to know the actual facts and engage with other community members. I know like we went out to Houston with a lot of ideas, right? I've never been to Houston. I've been to Texas. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Oak Cliff. I've been to Austin.
Except for, especially knowing we were going to the 5th Ward, which everyone I told, we're going to be in the 5th Ward. They're like, that's like the worst part of Houston. And it was beautiful.
Beautiful, right? Beautiful people, beautiful culture. Everything about it was beautiful. And I think that's what ends up happening is like, even when I went over to Europe, when I was in Europe, like you have an idea. I was in Istanbul. I was out there. I was like, man, this is dangerous. And it's like, it's an idea. I was in Nice. Man, they just had a bombing out here. And like, when you're actually there, it's not what you think. It's a totally different story than what they're actually putting out in the news. It's beautiful. It's cool. People are chill. You know what I'm saying? The whole engagement of who people are. We have ideas, and I think it's important that community connects with community so that we can break down these biases that we have from like Chicago or have about LA.
Can I say something about gangs? So I went to a meeting with the leaders of the churches. Because they wanted to talk about gang violence prevention. And the surprising thing is a lot of their egos got in the way, so I left. But they're recruiting kids who are in 3rd grade. So it's so important for people to be there for these kids so they have the right mentors, because it's going to make it more peaceful for us down the road.
It's true. And they're going to get mentors one way or another.
That's one of the things, too, like kids who grew up in Park Hill, growing up here, and for someone who moved in, it's different. So if you were born living in Park Hill, you were, Park Hill. Like, you were already labeled as... Yeah,
regardless if you were or not.
So, 1st grade, they saw their elders. If you grew up in 5 Points or in ACO or whatever, you already... So, 3rd grade, they're looking up to their older ones, and you see that a lot in the kids you work with.
Yeah, the kids I work with, they're looking for mentors, and they're going to find them one way or another. If it's in gangs, or if it's in music, or if it's whatever it is.
People don't understand, like, the gang life and stuff. I grew up around in this. When you that dude, and you got a tip, and you got it popping in the hood, you the dude, you like a celebrity. You like a local celebrity. So you see these kids are looking up to him like, man, this guy got the cars, he got the women, he got the clothes, he can get in places for free, everybody respect him. This is how drug dealers are in the hood, and they look up to that, and that's what they aspire to be. Exactly. Because they don't have any other role models, and they don't get outside
and
the hood.
And they somewhat take care of their people. I mean, they do take care of their people.
It's shit. People don't understand. most all gangs were derived from a community help organization, and it just turned into gangs.
Exactly.
And then when gangs first started originating, it was to protect the community. It was protect the community. You were selling drugs, and that, but that was a time where that's what you did to take care of your family. That's how you took care of your family. You sold drugs. Now it's more of a fad thing. Yeah. It's more of I just want to be in this lifestyle.
Well, it's also a safety thing.
That as well.
Because like some of the people, if home is not a safe place, you have people that are going to watch out for you. Yeah.
That's another thing. I just thought about that. I have a young student who was a part of one of my classes recently, Peace Jam, Peace Warriors, who recently ran away. You know what I'm saying? She's been gone for like 3 or 4 days. Her name is Lexis. But that is one thing that, like when you really think about the communities that we work in and like the people that we're around, gangs, right? Like somebody who's young like that is going to gravitate towards something like that if they feel scared to talk to their parents, if they're not getting love at home. There's a variety of different things that make kids run away. Sometimes, it's little things, but I feel like our communities really, like in the old days, you used to be able to talk to the neighbor sometimes would, smack you down if you were acting out of line, but it was a tight-knit community. And as the city is really growing, I think that's one of the things that we're really starting to, like, kind of separate from. Like, you're talking about there was a lot of ego around with the churches and everything like that. All these communities are, like, breaking each other down. And, like, because of displacement, we don't have any connection.
Say it, Anthony. Say it.
Fuck the church.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree on some levels. You already know. I like, I ain't got to get into too much. I agree with some levels.
We'll talk about that one day.
Yeah, that's going to be a good conversation to talk about.
I grew up super Mormon, so I mean, I have a
Yeah.
Well, this has been a good conversation today, and I want to shout out to All Real Radio for giving us this platform. Also, they have September 3rd coming up. The annual or the quarterly smudge is coming up, and also make sure you follow WeAreDenver and follow 5280 Entertainment and watch out for our shows and pictures and kind of what we're doing and give us suggestions. And we're going to, we have a comedy show on the 27th at Rising Sun Distillery. If you could come out for that, that will be awesome. We're in the process of collecting school supplies. We had a big donation from Maule, which was super cool. Yeah, he gave 3 backpacks and a bunch of brand new school supplies, so that was very cool. We also have on the 19th our astrology event at Bar Red, and Anthony is in the midst of planning an 80s, 90s party.
Y'all gonna want to be there for all these parties, okay? Turning up.
And what do you have going on, Anthony?
What we got? This weekend I'll be at Meet the Streets with Danette Hollowell, a talented jazz singer. I'll be doing some stuff with her out there. Come check us out on 16th Street Mall. Yeah, we got the comedy show. I'll be hosting that Thursday the 27th. Mm-hmm. And when is the Leo party?
It's the 19th.
19th of August.
It's going to be super turn up for Leos, yo. Leos are turn up people.
Yeah, the 80s party is to be announced, to be determined, right? But we're going to try to do it in August.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it at the end of August. We just need to pick a day. Actually.
Yeah, if you don't come to nothing else,
come to that.
Come to that.
We want to see
you a good time.
Big hair and hammer pants.
Yep.
Hammer pants. What about the spandex pants? I like spandex.
And we're actually going to do a giveaway for the best 80s, 90s outfit.
There you go. What you got going on?
I'm working on dropping an album right now. So I've been finishing up the Acuna Black project. And I'm getting ready to release a poetry book and an album and do an art show at Redline Art Gallery in collaboration with Lana Paul Art Foundation. So, yeah. I mean, I got stuff coming up, too. I got shows. I got a show coming up with Roots, Rice, and Beans in late August. I got to get the date on that. And then do a meet in the streets in August as well on 16th Street Mall. So I'll be out there, but look for Acuna Black. It's coming. It's coming, y'all.
And Leenda, anything final words for Cathexis, yourself, where people can find you and what you have coming up?
We're going to be doing a yoga class over at Blue Ice on Broadway, and donating some of the proceeds to get backpacks for the kids in 5 Points. So watch out for that flyer. And
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe that's something we can.
Is the yoga class, is that free? How much it cost?
$20 a person.
$20.
But then the funds are going to be turned around to give back to
get backpacks for the kids.
Yeah.
We did some fundraisers before, and like I got a bunch of backpacks, and we went, and there still weren't enough backpacks for everybody.
Backpacks are expensive.
We had like 70,
you know?
but I didn't. There were so many people that showed up. I didn't think there were going to be that many people.
Yeah, school supplies are a lot. Rent's a lot right now. And what are your social media contacts? Where's the best place for them to find out more about Cathexis and getting involved?
There's a lot on the website, cathexistalent.com. And then on Facebook, we have a lot of stuff. Instagram, Twitter. We're on just about everything.
That's awesome.
I just got on Snapchat.
Yeah, that's.
I got back on Snapchat. I retired.
That's where the good stuff happens.
That's what I hear.
That's what I've been hearing.
That's what I hear. That's why I
Because it
get my
disappears,
news.
so people get super risque on there.
I need to get on there so I can give me some news. That's all I want.
Get your Snapchat.
That's where all my box dudes are.
Yes, the box body.
Box body dudes.
I appreciate those bodies and all the work they do to keep them up.
Dude, you talk about it a lot to me. I'm like, dude, I ain't trying to hear about these dudes, man. For real? Come on, man.
Want to go ahead and close this out?
Yeah. Peace, light, love, y'all. This is BoomBapTricks on All Real Radio. Hashtag WeAreDenver. We're holding it down in Ghost House Studios. Peace.